identify those 4 areas where people are making mistakes. I mean, there are some people who just want to play backgammon for fun. They don't want to study, they don't want to read, and they just want to meet up with people either online or in person and play backgammon, and that's absolutely fine. And then there are other people who want to get into the technical detail and study the technical detail. That is not what tonight is about. This is really about just looking at the basic mistakes that some people are making. They should be fairly easy to understand, and they should be fairly significant. Like, they're big mistakes that people are making. So that's really the point. I think if you can identify these mistakes and delete them from your game, or remove them from your game, because you won't be able to delete them. I think if you could do that, you'll find that you're winning more games. And backgammon is fun, but winning is more fun. So one of the games between Maureen and Cracker, both players gave me plenty of mistakes to be able to discuss. And I don't know if they planned it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss the match that Maureen played with Maureen, but anybody else can chip in at any stage. In particular, if I'm using an expression that you don't understand, like if I say something, just assume that everybody understands it. If I use a term that you don't understand, you can be quite sure there's a few others there who don't understand it either. So we'll just start. First of all, I'll just go through some of the points. This is being recorded. I've done up a short Word document here as well, and to start with. And if you have a look at, we can email this to anybody who wants it, and you can watch a video of you can make notes as you like. And please do correct my errors. So first of all, can you see this screen? Yeah. I'm now sharing a Word document. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see myself for some reason, and that's absolutely fine. So this is there are 4 areas, and the first one is people are playing too safely, especially at the start. So what I'm showing there is the opening roll of 4 and 1, and there are 2 ways that. Well, there's one way that I see a lot of people playing, and it's the perfectly safe way on the left-hand side. They bring a checker down from the 13 point to the 8 point. And on the right-hand side, you can see the correct way to play the opening move. You bring the checker down to the 9 point, and you split the back checkers. And you can see on the right-hand side that after making that move, if you're not hit, you'll have so many more chances. You'll be able to make this point here the 5 point with a 4 and a 1, or with a 4 and a 3, which you couldn't do if you were in this position. You can also make the 4 point with a 5 and a 4, or with a 5 and a 2, which you couldn't do here. And over here, you can do things like roll a 2 and a 3, and you can make this point. You could make this point with a 3 and a 4, but in fact, you use the 3 and a 4 over here. So Maureen, do you see that? Can you see how the right-hand side is a more flexible position?
Yeah.
Does that, like, do you think you'd be able to break away from the habit of making this point and taking the risk? Because there's a small element of risk. Cracker could roll, or whoever your opponent is could roll a 5-5. Can you see that the advantage here outweighs the risk?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first point we're looking at there. Playing safely at the start of the game. So don't pile up your checkers in the same points. Spread your checkers out, and in particular, splitting the back checker to the 24-23 or even to the 24-20 is usually a good idea. Okay. The second point here is not hitting your opponent when he puts a checker on the 5 point. The 2 most important points on the board are this point here, which is your opponent's 5 point, and this point, your own 5 point. In this situation, the Black has played and has slotted this 5 point, and white has rolled a 1. And the absolute priority here is to hit this checker. By hitting this checker, you're robbing black of a roll, and you're... Was that somebody asking a question, or was that just some background noise?
Background noise.
Okay, so you're by hitting this point, you have a very good chance of making it. And so what if you're hit? At the start of the match, at the start of each game, if you're sent back here, you lose 20 points in the race. But that's not terribly important. You prefer not to be hit, but if you are hit, that's fine. The next point then is, again, I see this time and time again. And in fact, I just played a match a little while ago myself, and I did this stupidly myself. So trying to escape your back checkers when you were behind in the race. Now, I've exaggerated the position here, but white has a 6 and 5 to play. And I've seen people automatically playing from 24 up to 13. But if you look at the race here, white is 52 pips behind, which is huge. And if you can visualize this position, this point up here, there's going to be no further hits in this game, and black is going to win this. I think I figured it out. Black wins this game. White wins this position after 6 and 5 only 2% of the time, because they're just wiped out in the race. But by staying back, they've got a very good chance of getting a shot. And if they get a shot, they have a good board. So they'll actually win this game 35% of the time if they stay back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here's a position from the actual game, not doubling when you should double. The biggest mistake I think that all players at all levels make is waiting and waiting and waiting before you double. In fact, in this situation here, Cracker is playing on white. I don't know what he was waiting for. Cracker, you wouldn't remember this position, I presume. Or Cracker, you're black, Cracker.
Well, I'm black.
You're black. You're ahead in the race by 5 pips on 57. You're about to start taking checkers off. You've got a good distribution. This is a huge double and a big drop for Maureen. A big, big drop. So
I was being a bit cautious. I was afraid she might take the 4 cube there.
Yeah.
And
were you afraid you might get 4 points?
No, I saw Maureen's PR before the match, and her average PR was 18.
Yeah.
And mine was around 9, say.
Okay.
So I was just afraid that, so that would indicate, it doesn't mean I'm a better player. I might be luckier, but on average, I seem to be playing a little bit better than Maureen. So for that reason, recubing her to 4, if she made a mistake and took it, and then threw a double 6 and a double 5, I'd be getting the cube to 8. That's what I was afraid of.
Okay, that's interesting.
Just cautious. What was the match score?
1-0, a match to 13 points.
Yeah, I was being a little bit cautious.
Okay, you were being excessively cautious. Let's assume that what you're saying is right. You've been studying backgammon and playing for a long time, and you're a better player than your opponent. This is still a huge double. Like if Sean is playing you, Cracker, this is a huge double. And he's a better player than you are. So part of the reason you have a better PR is because you don't make blunders like this.
Okay,
so,
but can I just say this? I noticed all my pieces stacked up on the 5s and 6 points,
which is good news.
Whereas Maureen has only 3. Like I've 7 pieces stacked up high. Maureen has only 5 pieces stacked high. So you know, it's if I'm throwing all low numbers, I'm not going to get rid of these fellas, if you know what I mean.
Okay, well, first of all, if you look, you've got a race lead of 5 on 57. But in fact, you have a much better distribution. Maureen's checkers are piled up onto 2 points. Do people understand what we mean by distribution? The best distribution of your checkers is to have them on the 6 and 5 point. If, for example, you'd all your checkers under 1 point, you'd be wasting pips. Every time you'd roll a 6, you'd be losing 5 pips. Cracker has a very nice distribution here. Cracker, you're going to take 2 black checkers off. Then Maureen will probably take in 1 or maybe 2 checkers, and you'll have another 2 off. You'll have 4 checkers off before Maureen goes. This is a huge double, and it doesn't matter how much better you are. If the score was something like you were leading 7-0 and there was some element of gammon in this, but there's no gammons in this, you might have some argument, but you don't. But that argument is not valid here. So they're the 4 points we're going to look at. And now we just go and look at the match. So I'm going to share XG.
Can I ask a question, Brendan?
Yeah.
So I see in your notes there a really good tip about, having a pip count lead of 8%.
Yeah.
As an indication of a good point to double. But is there a difference when you are redoubling? So should you be more cautious because the cube is worth more? And do you think that percentage changes?
The percentage does change. So let's say that you have a pip count of 100 and your opponent has a pip count of 108. You have a double. A redouble, you should have a pip count of 110. It's an increase from 8% to 10%. The reason for that is you're giving away the valuable cube. So you could say, yes, Cracker should have a lead of 10%, but he more than, let's just go back to that. Let's go back to that position. It's this one here. Yeah. Cracker has a lead of 8%, which normally would not be enough for a cube or a recube. However, in this situation, Maureen's going to have a lot of wastage here. But the other thing is she's got 2 more crossovers. So she's got to bring checkers in before she can bring them off. And she's a gap on her 5 point. These are all bad news in terms of the race. So adding all those up makes this a very easy recube. And by the way, a huge drop for Maureen.
Brendan, this is Kevin. How
Kevin.
I look at these positions is I would add 1 point on for each crossover that White has to make. So she's got 2 to come in to the home base. That brings her total up to 64.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would add another 1 on because of the 5 point 65 and probably
5 point gap. Yeah.
Yeah. The 5 point gap, because, that's, you're going to lose there. And I would probably add another 1 on for the deuce, 4 on the deuce, not 3, 4. So all in all, I would add 4 points on, making it 66. And you can see that it's way out of the take range. Normally I do 10% plus 2 or minus 2. So it's way out of the range of a take, should I say. Does that make sense,
Okay.
Brendan?
That's a very nice way of doing it. So I would look at the difference there is 5 pips. I would add, based on what Kevin said, you're adding 2 for the extra crossovers. Crossovers are these 2 checkers out here that have to cross over in here. So that brings it from 5 up to 7. You're adding another point for the gap here, which is a difference of 8, and 1 for this having more than 3. I'd probably add 2 for having more.
Should add 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd add 2, 1 for each of the checkers over 2.
Yeah.
You might even add 1 for having 2 on the ace point, but let's just say add 2 here.
So it's 5, isn't it?
5 and 5. So there's 10 over 57, and that is, what's 10 divided by 57? 6 into 10, 1, 4, 6, 7, about 17%, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a huge drop. Okay, that's a good way of doing it. Is there a name to that particular count, Kevin?
Well, many people look at these sort of things and do various adjustments and things. But what I use is normally I would go, here we are, we've got crackers on 57, times it by 10%, that's 5.7. Add 5.7 onto his pip count, that's 62.5. This is quite complex, it's not really. And then you add 2 and take 2 off, and there's the take pass point.
Yeah.
But then you add on the adjustments, and then you see it would take it outside that bracket. Does that make sense, or am I complicated?
Absolutely. But this brings us back to the main issue I'm suggesting here is not doubling when you should double. And this is a very good example that Cracker very kindly provided us. Okay, so we're going to go on.
Sorry, Brendan, may I ask a question?
Of course, Alan.
In that situation, that's a definite drop for Maureen. So Cracker wins 1 point. Is that early in the game?
Because,
It's that early in the game. Is there any advantage in Cracker playing on a little, trying to see if she gets a bit of luck to situations where it might be a position where she has to take the double and he wins 2 points? And I know it's a risk that he loses 2 points or loses the 1 point he has in the bag, but that early in the game, is it worth slow playing it in the hope that he could double and get her to take it?
I don't think so, because Maureen could well roll a 6 and Cracker would lose his market. And
Yes.
sorry, there's an expression, to lose your market means that it is no longer a double, or it could be, so Cracker has a double drop. I think the payoff there would be by slow playing, as Alan suggests. Maureen could roll a 6, 5, or 4, and she'd be in the lead.
But at 1-0 in a game to 13, is that worth a risk?
I don't think that's a consideration, Alan.
Okay.
Don't think that's a consideration. Okay, so now I am going to, I thought I was sharing this. Okay, am I sharing XG now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Maureen, this is the game you are playing where White at the bottom, Mojo playing the Cracker at the top. Cracker rolls a 5 and 3, and he makes the correct move, which is this point here. So there's Cracker making that move. He makes the ordinary 5-3, and Maureen rolls a 3 and a 2. Sorry, just show it. Maureen rolls a 3 and a 2. So, Maureen, do you understand the point that I made earlier? The problem here with the move that you made was 13-8.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I should have split them.
The better move was to split the back checkers here and drop one down, and this is much more flexible. Okay. We look at Cracker's next move. Cracker played a 3 and a 2. Sorry, Cracker played a 3 and a 2 from here. Now, imagine if you had played the best move, which is 24, 21, 13, 11. Now it's very awkward for Cracker to play 3 and 2. He'd probably hit both checkers.
Yeah.
But after your move, Cracker can play the 3 and 2 quite safely. He's not troubled by your checkers at all. So we go on to the next move, and Cracker has played his 3 and 2, and you roll a 4 and 3. And
there is nothing to play with.
Pardon me? So you played 13-6, Maureen. Again, a terribly safe conservative play. You're not troubling Cracker at all.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the right move is to hit him here on the 3-point, bring this up to here. That looks very risky. If you look at the final position, do you think that looks risky to you?
Not really, I suppose, because there's still space to get back on, isn't there, if I get taken?
Yeah. And the main thing is, you know, you're spreading your checkers around. It's going to be awkward for Cracker. Cracker rolls a 6 and 1 the next time. Now look how awkward a 6 and 1 would be if you had played the right move. He'd have to come in here with the 1.
Yeah.
And he'd probably bring the 6 to here. But after your move was 13-6. Now Cracker rolls a 6-1. And suddenly Cracker is beginning to make a prime here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you roll this position. You roll a 5 and a 1. Again, you played this move here, 24, 23, 13-8. You're not troubling the Cracker at all. Whereas the correct move is you hit him again down here. And now you hit him on the 3-point and you split to the 23-point. This is a very important concept. You have 2 dice, and by hitting somebody in there, anywhere actually, wherever you hit somebody, they've got to waste or use, I should say, one of those dice in coming in. Okay, so by not hitting, when Cracker's next roll is a 6 and 3, to show the initial position, by not hitting, Cracker's next roll is a 6 and 3. Again, he can play it quite safe. So let's see what Cracker does with a 6 and 3. This was Cracker. Could you explain this move, because I couldn't understand it?
24-18.
What was your thinking? Are we back into the you're a much stronger player and
24-18. What did I do there?
you did this move here?
Well, I'll tell you what. I made this point here.
The 10-point?
She has only one direct hit with this piece, with the piece on the 2-point.
Yeah.
8. She only has one direct hit. She has all her pieces stacked up on 17 and 19. So I'm not particularly worried about them. So I'm coming up to the 18-point to duplicate 6s. And maybe if she throws a 6, she'll have to consider which 6 she's going to play. That was my thinking.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I'm escaping a back piece. I should probably have done 22-16, but I see that's only in 3rd place.
Okay. So really, what's happening here is Mo has stripped this point here. Very important point. She's no spare checkers here. She's piled up her checkers here. She has no point in this board. Cracker has 2 points and he's got the 7-point. This screams attack. Cracker should not be worrying about escaping back checkers or anything like that. He just hits, like the 13-10 is fine. He should be bringing all his checkers back here to attack. So he hits Maureen on the 2-point. He brings another checker down and he's giving himself, fairly good gammon chances. After the correct move, he would have 21% gammons and he'd win 59% of the games compared to 55% in 17. So that's a very significant difference. By the way, does everybody understand what extreme gammon is?
No.
Ah, okay. So what I did was I watched this match on Heroes, and then I saved it and imported it into Extreme Gammon. Extreme Gammon is a piece of software that allows you to analyze a match. Now, I know you can do some analysis on Heroes itself, but this is a much better analysis. It allows you to look at different options. It allows you to save moves. It tells you what percentages you get of wins and that. So I think this is something that if you want to play, backgammon, improve your backgammon, you should go on to extremegammon.com, I presume. It's $60 to buy, and it's really easy. Do most people have Extreme Gammon, by the way?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
All on mute. Okay. 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 So that was Cracker's move there. Now.
Well, can I just say, you were asking me what my thinking was there.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at a situation, I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking on the top side there, I'm thinking attack. And on the bottom side, I'm thinking defense. And I'm also thinking, can I do two things at the same time? Can I attack and defend at the same time? What I failed to do was to attack when I should have. I didn't need to do anything by defending.
Because of the way these checkers are piled up, defense, in fact, staying back is actually better defense because if these checkers will have come in here and you'll have two checkers to hit them with. So it has actually been much better to stay back. It's actually a more attacking play back. Okay, we'll go on to the next move. Maureen rolls. Maureen rolls a 5 and a 2. So she hits here. You hit here, Maureen, with the 3, which is the right use of the 5, probably the only real use of the 5. But then you went on then to the ace point. It's not a good idea to bring checkers to the ace point early in the game because they are effectively out of play. You can't do anything else with them except maybe put another checker on it to make a point. So these are the points that you want to make early in the game, not the ace point or the 2 point. So you had a very nice 2 here, coming from the 23 point up to 21 point, which you can see here. So that would be the correct. That would be the correct move with the 2.
The reason I do that, sorry to interrupt. The reason I do that is that I'd read somewhere about the statistics for a dice throw was that you're less likely to throw a 1. That's why I do that.
Oh. Okay. There's the same chance of throwing either a straight 3 or a straight 1. Okay, from each dice, from each die, there's 1 1 and 1 3 on it. The difference would be by leaving a checker here, Cracker could also hit it with a double 1 or a 2 and a 1. So yes, you're right, it would be easier to hit it, but you're not concerned about it being hit at this early stage of the game. You'd prefer not to be hit, but it's more important to come up here and attack checkers up here. And you're also attempting to make an anchor up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on a few moves here and see what's happening. Right, so Mo rolled a 3 and a 1, and she played 23, 20, 8, 7, and that is actually the move that I would have also made, but it's just a little bit wrong. It would have been better to actually do this move here, which is 22, 20, 6, 5. I was surprised at that. Not hitting is the correct move, but I wouldn't spend too much time on that. I think it's a very small difference between the to 2 games, only 0.022. That's not something we should worry about. So we'll move on a few moves and see what's happening. Okay.
When
Yeah.
you have more than 5 checkers on a point, then
Yeah.
one of the first things you should do is to look to get that extra checker off. You've got too many checkers on the point, 6 there, and that's why XG is saying bring 1 down. It doesn't like 6 on the 6 point. It much prefers you to put it on the 5 than to hit.
That's a very, very good point. Thank you for that. So this is called unstacking. So it's trying to make this point here, or if you'd rolled a 2, maybe to bring it to here, would be also a good point. This, we don't like just 2 checkers on a point because you've no spare. And particularly on these very important points, you're trying to keep only 1 or 2, but not too many spares on them. Very good point. And we got into a racing position, and this was a very easy double for Cracker, despite the fact that he's a much stronger player. Cracker doubles and Maureen correctly passes this. Okay, so we'll go on to the second game, and let's have a look at the initial position. Right, so Maureen, do you want to tell us about this move?
Oh yeah, because I thought you had to always try and get the 5 and the 20 point. I thought that was what you aimed for. That's why I was going there. I don't know.
And can you now see why, in fact, this goes back to, I don't know, was it the second principle I made? I said, use the absolute priority is to get that checker away from there.
Yeah.
So the correct move is this one here. Come into the 21 point and hit him off the 5 point.
Okay.
Would you feel comfortable doing that?
Probably have to change my thinking, but yeah, because I naturally try and get up to that. So 5 is more important than the 20 then, is it, for me, from my point of view?
Well, you see, if you had a choice of making the point, you'd have a more difficult decision, but you're not making the 21 point. In your move does not make the point. Your Cracker's going to attack him immediately. So if let's say you rolled if you rolled a 4 and 3, would you make this point or would you hit here? That would be a reasonable question to ask. But you're only slotting this point. This is your move here. This is the final position. It's not that you're making it. So absolutely, this is a very big blunder. You must attack him here. And if you look at what does Cracker roll the next time, Cracker rolls a 3 and 1, and look, he makes that fantastic point, sends you back to the bar. If you'd hit him, and where's the hit move? This is the hit move, right? If you'd hit him like this, look at Cracker's 3 and 1 now.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the best he can do. Probably. This would be a very difficult 3 and 1 to play. He'd probably come in on the ace point, and then the 13-10 down here to make this point. But you've made it. This move would make it very, very difficult. And this goes back to the point, by hitting, not only are you stopping him making this point, you're robbing a roll. You're making him use a roll to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the next position to look at is okay, Cracker, will you talk us through this 5-2?
I played a 5-2. What did I do? Bar 28-6. I think I obviously had a total brain seizure here. I obviously should have come in on the 23 point and put one of her checkers back.
Okay.
But
So I've written here. Yeah, I've written here in the annotation on the left-hand side. You face a decision: play safely or hit a checker. And again, a lot of people would play safely. A lot of people would do what Cracker did, which is this move here, final move. Sorry, final position. Oh, sugar, I didn't mean to roll it out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Cracker would, this is the final commitment to 5 and play safely. But everything here is screaming, hit a checker, which is display here.
Yeah. I might have just missed it, but looking at the size of the error.
You did not want to give up this point. That's the point, Cracker. You felt,
that was my thinking, yeah.
And you don't like giving up to 5 point, but in this situation, everything screams hit a checker. Cracker is behind in the race, right? Before the hit. All right, before the hit, Cracker is 24 points behind in the race. After the hit, he's only 2 points behind. He doesn't need an anchor as Mo has no board, and Cracker has made the 5 points, so he's got a stronger board. So in this situation, absolutely, you give up you give up the 5 point to get the hit. It's very, very clear.
Okay, can I ask a question? The size of that error.
Yeah.
The size of that error. The correct move. I'm at 0.09, but by making that move, I go to plus 0.36. Can you explain that? How much of an error I've made there? I've made an error of 0.27. How is that affecting my PR?
Okay, so the difference here is 0.26. Let's look at the difference here. The difference is 0.26, and my understanding of that means that you have lost effectively, you've given away a quarter of a point, 0.26 of a point. So if you like, the score has gone from 1-0 to 1 to 0.25. Okay.
Oh, so I've given Maureen a quarter of a point.
Exactly.
With that one move.
Yeah. With the right move, you had a 57% chance of winning the game and a 19% chance of gambling her. After your move, you reduced your winning chances by 6% and you reduced your gammon chances by 4%.
So it was a massive blunder.
Massive blunder, yeah. Okay, and we'll move on then to another one.
May I ask a question as well on the same?
Yeah, sure,
thing?
yeah. On this position.
Yeah,
No.
I'm thinking about doubling on Cracker. If Cracker plays black, so I'm thinking to double on his position, on his move. Next move
before he rolls.
Before he rolls, yeah, he should double up because he has a 5 point and he has a 20 point, and Maureen has 4 open checkers.
Wow. Okay, guys, we're playing Chouette. Anybody else want to double this?
If you know what I mean, it's
I know exactly what you mean.
It's a beautiful position to double. And early of the game, Cracker has all key points. Even he has a checker on the bar. It's a double. It's a good thing to double. Even I think. If
I might add to that, Sean Casey told me once that if I ever have the 2 5 points, I should be looking at doubling.
Yeah, that's my thinking of that position.
Okay,
And
Maureen.
what would what would the computer would say about that
We'll look at
doubling?
that in a second. Maureen, if you were
Sean
double,
Casey, Brendan, could I just say, Sean Casey's instructions to the cracker are specific to the cracker. He is a very needy case. And cheers, Brendan.
Sean, your advice is dead right. In this position, Cracker has the 2 5 points, so the 5 point to 20 point. He should look at doubling. I think the mistake here, Cracker, I presume you didn't even think of doubling in this.
No.
Maureen, if you'd
I
been
was
doubled,
looking at the race.
Maureen, if you'd been doubled, would you have taken?
Probably, because Cracker is sometimes very stubborn, so probably would have, even though I haven't a hope.
Okay. Let's have a look and see what XG tells us. XG is telling us that this is not a double, that Cracker's winning chances are 57% and 18% chance of gammons, but it's very early in the game. Maureen has a big race lead. Maureen is 24 points, a big race lead. And Cracker, if he wants to hit one of these checkers, he's going to have to give up something good to hit the checker. So it's absolutely dead right to look at it, but it is a bit early.
Brendan, could I just come in here in support of Andre? I think it probably is an incorrect technical double, but it absolutely is a double in practice, because I think what XG is saying in the statistics is that if one player in 5 would pass, you should
Is this the 18.1% down here, is it?
Yes. Now, do I think one person in 5 would pass? Definitely. So I think while if the computer's playing the computer, it's no double. Playing a human, I think it's probably a double. One person in 5, yeah, I think I'd get that over the board. So I think Andre has a good point on the double. So I think this is a very marginal decision as to whether you double or not.
It is kind of it's a human decision more likely than computer decision. Yes.
Okay, so let's look at that.
Excuse me, Brendan.
Yeah.
If he had it doubled, is it a blunder or a error?
I didn't hear anything of that. Sorry, it's very distorted sound.
Sorry, if he had it doubled, would it have been a blunder or an error?
It's doubling would have been a blunder.
A blunder. Okay.
Okay, so let's just look at what XG is telling us. If Cracker does not double here, he expects to get his 0.335. In other words, if this position was played out 100 times, Cracker will get 33 points in total from it. He'd get 33 points more than Maureen, right? However, if people are going to drop this, he would get a full +1 point. Don't know if I'm explaining that very well. Like, it would be a huge achievement to double if you thought your opponent might drop. I'm not sure 20% of players would drop with a race lead of 24, but I'm open to correction on that. Now, this is Maureen is playing. Maureen has a 4-3 to play. This is a very difficult. There isn't a nice move here. You want to play the 24 to 21 here with the 3, and what do you do with the 4? I said earlier on you shouldn't be bringing checkers to the 2 point or the ace point, but this is an example where you actually should. Okay, again, it's the point earlier made. There are 6 checkers here, so getting one off that is a good idea. That's just that bit too aggressive, Maureen. You're ahead in the race by a good bit here. So this is the other point that I was making. When you're ahead in the race, you want to race. You don't want to leave shots. So this was the move that you made. And now Cracker can hit you with a 1, if he comes in a 1 and a 4, a 1 and a 2, a 1 and a 1, a 2 and a 2,
Yeah.
And a
2 and a
6.
4, a 4 and a 5, and a 5 and a 2 and a 5 and a 1. Like, he's got so many hits. And of course, knowing Cracker, of course, I know you did. Cracker rolled a 5, and so you hit the Cracker, and he rolled a 5 and a 3, which so
And
you
he
were
missed it.
Is that Jamie laughing?
No, it's me.
So you got away with it, Maureen.
He
But you were
missed it
so
completely.
you were so impressed with yourself and Cracker's bad luck that you decided to double Cracker. Now, I would much prefer to see, this is a little bit too early, okay?
Yeah.
You are ahead in the race, but Cracker has actually probably got a better position overall here with this point and this point. So this is a very easy take for Cracker. But I'm absolutely sure, this goes back to what you were saying, Sean. You know, double early, sorry, if there's a chance that the Cracker might drop. Cracker, was there any chance you might have dropped this?
No, because I have a very good anchor here on the 5 point, and I'm also defending well with the 7 point. And she has 2 and 2, 4, and 2. She has 7 pieces to bring home safely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of play left.
Yeah.
There is a lot of play in this, and so Cracker correctly takes. But I looked at my, I keep, but from time to time I keep copies of my blunders. You know, you can go into XG, you can save a position here, and you then go back and revisit them. And I looked at my doubling errors, my doubling blunders, and I had about 20% of the time I doubled when I shouldn't have because I wasn't good enough. And about 60% of the time I didn't double when I should have. And 20% of my blunders was when I was too good. So it would be much better to be making blunders by doubling more often than doubling less often. So Maureen, keep her up, particularly when you're playing weak players like the Cracker. Right, so what happened next? We just go down then to, now Cracker, what was your thinking here? You're on roll. You have the cube on 2. You're leading 1-0. Oh, that's the position we discussed earlier on, I think, is it? No, it's not. Again, here's a double for the Cracker. He didn't. It's a redouble. Cracker's a good bit behind in the race, but he can hit with a 3. He can hit with a 5. He is in a very good position to double here. It's not a big blunder. It's not a blunder at all. It's just an error not to double. So then Maureen played. Cracker got his hit. Sorry. Cracker got the hit. He got an 18, 14, 18. This is one of his good rolls. He got the hit. Now it's too late. It's not quite too late, but this is not a, well, did you think of doubling here, Cracker, or redoubling?
I think I forgot about the cube there. I think that's what happened. I just wasn't thinking.
Okay, that's a very good lesson. That really every single move you should be thinking about the cube. So Cracker's in a very good position here. He's threatening to. Sorry, he has. Is this? Oh yeah, he's. Maureen's game is nearly gone down here. Her checkers are too far advanced. He's threatening to hit with an ace. He can make this point with a 4 and a 1, a 4 and a 3, or a 3 and a 1. There's a few long range shots to hit as well. There's double 1s, double 3s, double 4s, and even then big rolls like double 5s, double 6s. They're all very, very good for Cracker. So what does Cracker roll? A double 6. And now he's gone, what did he do? 2014 2 and 7-1 2. I probably would have done the second move here, which is that one there, make the 2 points.
Yeah, that's me, would be doing the same.
Okay. Oh, that's definitely wrong. So
is it? Is it? But it looks good though.
I think probably the reason for this move, the nice thing about this move is that after this, it's probably a double drop. But what actually happens is Maureen comes in and Cracker. Oh, it's not nearly a double. It's not nearly a double. So this is an example of where Cracker has benefited by not recubing. Maureen's come in, she's made a decent point, and it's going to be a little bit difficult for Cracker to bring stuff home. Okay, so what happened next? Then we go to the next interesting move. Now, yeah, so this was the, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the final position. Maureen, do you want to talk about your move there? Why you picked 9-4-6-2?
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. The way I play, and it's probably wrong, is I try and leave one. You know, when I've checkers on the other side, I try and leave one in case I get a 6 that I don't have to split the other 2. But that's probably wrong.
No, that's a very good strategy. That's correct.
So that's what I was trying to do there, I think.
Okay, but the better, like this is the move you actually made. So you do keep a checker. You bring. Oh, you were keeping 2 checkers out, were you? You were keeping 2 checkers out that way. Okay, but I don't know whether you can see. That's just if you do get a hit, it's not a good position to be in. Here's the right move. You slot the 5 point. Okay. You really want to make this point. Cracker has no checkers here, so you can slot it quite safely. The next time then, if you roll a 3 or a 1, you now have a nice little prime. Okay, so that's why the right move is nearly always to slot the 5 point, particularly when you can do so safe.
Okay.
So what else then? Now we go back to the initial position, and again, actually, this is another example of the same thing, although we're now looking at a race. You should fill in gaps. Okay, so you rolled a 3 and a 4, and you brought these 2 checkers around. What you should have done was brought the 8 to the 5. You want, this is the best distribution in a race is to have something like that. You know, 5 there, 4 there, 3 there, 2 there, that sort of thing. You don't want a distribution going up like that. It's quite wasteful. So you want checkers on every point. In fact, you'd like to have 2 checkers on every point. And the best way of getting a checker onto the 5 point is to, now that you can do it. And it's actually, so it's that's the move that you've made. And you'd need 6s to come in with that. That move is nice, a nice move. You slot an important point. Cracker. So you made the Cracker has made the right way. Have I made a note about this? Oh yeah. Should Cracker double here?
Oh, good.
Did you take the Dublin cracker?
I didn't, because the race was very tight.
Okay, so I think we've sort of discussed this a fair bit. This was the next position. The cracker didn't double. This was a double and a pass. You can see here just crackers ruining his PR by like there's three errors in a row where he should have been doubling. Right now he's 4 checkers ahead. Mo still has this gap. Then we go to this position here, another redouble pass. Cracker is still 4 ahead on 44 points. Like this is just a huge recube pass. And then eventually Cracker gets to this point. So I'm saying here, Mo got 3 free chances to roll a big double, and she'd have turned this around. And Cracker would have been saying, I was so unlucky. I was winning the match and she rolled a 6-6.
Brendan, could you go back to move 23, the 6-4, just to see how close to a double that was? Cracker, no, the one below it.
Yeah.
Just can you see how close to a double that is?
Yeah, would anybody double this? Would anybody else double this position? Andre, was this one for you?
Yeah, that's definitely double.
Definitely a double. Sean?
The redouble from my side.
A redouble. Sean, are you redoubling?
No, but very, very close. I am winning the race as black. Cracker said the race was close. The gap on the 5 point means that black is winning the race. It's important to realize that. The gap on the 5 point means black is winning this race.
And plus, it's the only way two white checkers get in. It's they need double 6s, like twice. They need she has to go 2 times, and it's gonna be pointed on 6.
So it's
stacked on 6. The only thing she brings in that 2 last checkers on a 13 point. It's just a 6.
Yeah. So now
and it's going to be stacked on 6, and it's a long way to get out to bring them off. So okay. It's a redouble 100% from my side.
Okay, so Cracker wins 71.5% of these games, which makes it a very small redouble. Makes it's almost a double. It's not quite a double.
Oh, okay.
But you know, would some people drop this? What do you think, Sean?
Probably not. Probably not. But you know,
it'll be a huge boost to you if you've got someone to drop.
It's not. It's a no redouble take.
It's a massive take, Andre. Did you not? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a redouble take. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a tricky position.
That's
that's where we get out there our errors.
So that's really the main points that I wanted to talk to you about, and just to go back over them here. Anybody who wants this document, I'm very happy to send it on to them. So just the 4 points again: playing too safely, especially at the start; not hitting your opponent when he puts a checker on the 5 point.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to escape the back checker when you're behind in the race. Stay where you are. And then finally, and we've covered this a lot, not doubling when you should double. Mo, I'm expecting to see your PR coming rushing down in your next match.
I don't fully understand. Did you see in that board you just had up there where there was nothing on the 5 point and I had 5 on the 2 point? Why is that a problem when I'm bearing off? I don't really understand that bit.
Oh, why is
that bad, you know, for the other person then to double?
Oh, sorry, why is it bad for you to have a gap on the 5 point?
Yeah.
Okay, let me Let me have a
That
look.
will be covered in next week's tutorial.
Oh, Sean, that's a very good. Oh,
Next week tutorial will be great. Yes.
Right, Sean, give us a quick snapshot there. You explained that a bit better.
I am
Can you
happy
share
to
the
explain
screen
as
again,
one of
Brendan?
the 3 tips next week.
Okay, well, that's fine.
The main thing here is, Maureen, if you can imagine a position with your checkers on the 6 point and the 4 point, and no checkers at all on the 5 point. What happens when you roll a 5?
Yeah, 6 moves up to the 1 then.
You play them to the ace point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of waste. You'll end up piling your checkers onto these points. And like if you end up with a whole pile of checkers on your ace point and you roll 5s and 6s, each time you're wasting 4 or 5 pips.
Okay.
But so really what you want is you only want 1 checker on your ace point, no more than 2 checkers on your 2 point. This is at the start of the bearing off. And then you're not terribly pushed about the 3 point either, but you want your checkers on the 4, 5, and 6 point so that you can play 6s off, 5s off, 4s off. If you have checkers on the 6 point and you roll a 3, you can bring them to the 3 point. And you know, if you roll a 2 or a 1, you can bring them into here. So the best layout is lots of checkers on the 6, 5, and 4 point, and some checkers on the 3, 2, and 1 point, but mainly 1 or 2 checkers.
Okay.
But anyway, that's me done.
Brilliant, thank you.
Can I just step in? Can I just step in quickly, Jamie here? So firstly, a big thank you to Brendan for very kindly offering your time, Brendan, and you know, putting up the discussion and volunteering to do this. And
you're very welcome.
Secondly, thank you to Rich for working with you and organizing this, Rich Stegna. And then thank you to all of you for attending and supporting the initiative. And
to Maureen and to Maureen and to the Cracker for subjecting themselves.
Yes, for agreeing to be our guinea pigs. Thanks for that.
What I'm particularly impressed with is the technology. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. There's about 20 people at this meeting, and what I'm hugely impressed with is the technology of being able to look at all these positions from extreme gammon, and that we can all have a chat and meet up. It's incredible technology. And this time last year, I wasn't able to do any of this, and I would thank COVID for it. But I'll also thank Brendan Burgess.
Okay.
And is it next week, Sean? You're on next week?
Delighted. Next week will be fairly simpler. This will be a simpler presentation, I think. My approach is basically to try to share some tips that you can basically put into your game without too much thought. So the aim is you see it, you understand it, and it simply becomes a part of your game, and your game is better as a result. You shouldn't have to do too much thinking about it afterwards. You simply adopt the child into your family and it's part of your game. So that would be the aim of what I'm trying to share.
And that's 8 o'clock next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
And one last thing I'd like to say, that if anyone comes across an interesting position and wants to send it to Brendan or Sean or to one of us in the Federation, you know, that can be useful learning material in the workshops ahead. You know, there may be too many or it mightn't suit, but it, as you know, if you think about it from the presenter's point of view, it could be a really useful thing for someone to send in, like a tricky position.
Excellent.
So listen, thanks very much, everyone, and big well done to everyone involved. We all found it very helpful.
You're very welcome.
Thank you
And
very
we
much.
see-
Thanks,
we see you
guys.
next
Well
week.
done.
Bravo, bravo, excellent.
Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.